Hey there folks, back at you with another video. Today I'm going to start pulling the engine out of this 99 Ford F450. This is my one of my old work trucks. Served me well. As you can tell, she looks a little rough. She's tired. It's time to retire this truck. However, I am going to keep the engine and the transmission. I'm going to sell the rest off. Because the engine is still very strong. The transmission is a ZF6, so you can always reuse those. So yeah, but other than that, this truck is done and wore out. I done squeezed the last mile out of it. It's got 430,000 miles on it. That's why I'm keeping the engine, because it doesn't really have, with that high of miles, doesn't really have any resale value. But I know this engine, it's always been a very strong engine, never had any trouble out of it. So I personally know this engine, and therefore I just keep it for myself. And if I ever want to do a 7.3 swap in whatever, I've got an engine, and I'm going to keep the, all the modules and all that stuff. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here. We're going to sell the rest of the truck off, the axles, fuel tank, the interior, stuff like that. But however, I am going to keep the engine and the transmission. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that, or how I do that. Let me put it that way. So here we go. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. Don't cost nothing. Let's get past the intro and let's get into this. All right, first things first, we're going to have, especially when you pull it with the transmission, that's how I prefer to do it, because that's by far easier than just taking the engine out and then the transmission. I just pull the whole dang thing out. So what I'm going to do now is, and even if you just want to do a swap and you just want to pull the engine, I would strongly recommend taking the whole front off. So you need to take the bumper off, the grill, radiator, intercooler, all that stuff that needs to come out. And then you can get started on pulling the engine out. So I don't know, this may turn into a two-part video. I don't know how long it's going to take minutes wise in putting all this together. So anyway, you're going to start taking the bumper off. There's bolts right here to hold the bumper on. This one had a aftermarket bumper, heavy duty one, so it's off already. And then the next thing we're going to do is take the headlights out. I'm going to show you how to do that here. There is some screws right here on the bottom that takes the turn signal assembly out. And then sometimes these are pretty hard to disconnect, so then you're just better off just to twist them loose and leave the light bulb in them. So we're going to take the light assembly out. Like I said, two screws there on the bottom, then this comes out, unplug the lights. And then here on the top, you'll have a clip right there, and normally there should be another one back here. And then there is a bolt right down in there, right there. And you got to do that lefty or righty tighty, so we'll push the light out of the assembly. That's for the light adjustment. And yeah, so we're going to get that done, and we'll bring it right back. Here we go. Alright, so keep in mind that there is a little leg on there that keeps that headlight in there pretty tight, or the turn signal assembly in there pretty tight. So when you get those two screws out, you got to give it a little bit of a pull. So now we're going to get ready to pull this out right here. There's a couple bolts. There's a couple of them missing, but there's one, there one. Then there's in the frame right there a couple, as you can tell right here. Like I said, there's several of them missing already on this one. And then here on the other side, same thing. There is a bolt right there. There should be one here on the bottom. And then there should be another two right here. This one here is missing as well. But okay, we're going to take those out, and then this whole thing will come off. So here we go. All right. Next, if your AC system works on your truck, make sure you evacuate the AC. But then we're going to take 13 mil, take these AC lines off. This is all loose now right here. And then we're going to, there's two bolts, right, one right here and one right here to hold the AC on. I'm going to take the brackets off. I'm going to pull this thing out, and then this whole front assembly will come out. So here we go. So when you get that done, make sure your wiring don't hang up, because they'll go through the holes. Like I said, they can take all this off. And then our next step is going to be this this crossover tube right here, and we're going to have to undo the hood latch. So 2 bolts right there. You sling that off to the side, and then we're going to start on this crossover tube here. So we're going to have to take these bolts out right here, get that out of the way. Those are your radiator mounts as well. So that's got to come off, and then we got to undo these bolts right here on both sides. When we get that done, we'll bring it back and we'll go from there. Here we go. All right, so we got everything disassembled. Grab pry bar, stick it back in here, and then raise this thing up like that. And you may have to work it a little bit. Oh, I forgot to undo the intercooler. Oops, my bad. So yeah, we're gonna have to loosen these bolts up right here, so we can undo the intercooler. Do that on both sides, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, sorry about that. So anyway, so you push this side so it goes into there a little bit more. So you need to bring one side up first. So like I said, you got to work this a little bit. It can be frustrating at times, but there we go. There's one side, and then you can start pushing the other way. There we go. Like I said, you're just going to have to work that a little bit. You get the gist of it. Pry bar and a little bit of jiggly. This will come right out. So we'll bring it right back. All right, so we got the piece out. Put that off to the side. Now we're getting to the intercooler. There is, you need 11 mil for that. Right there. Right there is one of your clamps right there. This one here, so we're going to take that one there sits way off into the bottom there, can't get to it real easy. And then same thing here. This one right here, make sure you use a little bit of this because it looks a little crusty. That way you got a little bit of lubrication. Dang thing. There you go. It just makes things a little easier. Like I said, 11 mil, take those clamps loose, those boots will come off, and then you can lift this whole intercooler out, and then we can go from there. Here we go. Alright, so there's your intercooler. Those are the mounts that the intercooler sits on, right here. So you gotta lift it up a little bit, and then you can pull her back. Don't get caught on your AC lines right here. But now the intercooler is out. Next thing, we're going to start on the radiator, so let me get going on that. We'll bring it right back. Here we go. Alright, now next, you can do this either the day before you start or whatever, but radiator hoses need to be popped off right here on the bottom. Oh, we still got a little bit draining there. Transmission coolant lines, they need to get undone. Make sure you put a catch can there to catch all that. Well, there you go. And we still got to work on the top here. Still need to get the tank out. So there's 2 bolts holding it down right here. We already took this bracket off right here. So you got 2 bolts right there you got to take out. And then this thing is basically done except for this clamp right here. Let's grab my pliers real quick for that. Now the only thing you got to be careful of for is that you don't break this nipple right here. Because if you do, then you get to buy a whole nother coolant reservoir. So there's that, and then so that one hose that's on here, it goes all the way down in there. Just give me a second here. Let's get caught up on some stuff. Alright, I'm gonna need 2 hands for that, so give me 1 second, we'll bring it right back. Alright, so here's your coolant reservoir, got that out, and we got to undo this hose right here on the top. Already moved the clamp out of the way. So there you go. Now, give me 1 second here. We're going to pull the radiator out. It just sits on mounts right here on the bottom. One thing you have to do is just lift it out. Make sure you clear your fan right here. Maybe you have to take the shroud off. Sorry, but yeah. So now the radiator can come out, and let's go. Here we go. We'll be right back. Okay, so we got the radiator out. There's a bolt right here and a bolt right there that screw into the radiator to get the shroud off. This one is still intact. A lot of them are cracked or cut in half or things of that nature. So there we go. Let me clean this up here real quick and put a little bit of floor dry down on the ground, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, so next up, I want to take this cooling fan off. Already broke it loose, but there we go. You got to go lefty loosey. You got to go that way with it. So that way. And then next thing we're going to do is take the intercooler pipes off. So those are out of the way. And I want to take this this box out and the intake. So we're going to take all that out. That's just 11 mil right there, 11 mil right here, and then you just slide the intercooler pipes right out. 8 mil for the hose clamp, same thing here, and then it just been held down with a couple bolts. Here's one of them. This is the old battery tray, but that's all one whole unit right here. So we're going to take all that out. You don't necessarily have to take that out. I just do that to give myself a little extra room because, you know, you got the power steering pump right here. You know, I just want to have a little extra room, and this will give me that. Makes it easier by pulling it out, and it don't really take that much work to take it out. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, so we got the intercooler tubes off. The box here, like I said, that gives you a lot more room to see what's going on and operate. So now we got that done. We're going to take care of the heater box hoses right here. So we got one right here, and then another one that comes around right here up to here. That needs to be took off, and then we can lay the hoses off to the side. I already disconnected the AC, and I'll put a plug on it. Let me grab a light here real quick. There you go. I put a cap on it. I had an old one laying around that worked, so we can get this out of the way. So that needs to be done. Now we're going to get the heater box hoses. I'm going to take them off the engine and then lay them off to the side. And then we're going to do the ground cables right here. As you can tell, we're going to undo that. It's just a you know, we're going to take that off right here, and then these ground cables get disconnected. One goes to the frame, one goes to the battery, and then here's another one right here that goes straight up to your battery. It's one of your battery cables, so we're going to take that off too. So we get that done, and we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, so move the heater box hoses out of the way. I've got the AC lines out of the way. I've got the AC line, or the compressor unplugged too. I removed a couple other hoses too, this one and that one, and then I got the ground cables undone. If you're worried about forgetting those, give it a color of spray paint, like red or yellow or something like that, or white. That way it's obvious, so that way you never, you know, less likely to forget, because these engines need good grounds. Okay, next thing we're going to do is, you'll see a coming off the starter solenoid right there. There's a line coming across right here, and if you look at it where it goes to these solenoids right here. So we're going to get that all disconnected from there. right there. And then on this side, you got the big plug right here. Disconnect that plug, and then after that we'll bring it back, and then we're going to start on the power steering pump. So here we go. All right, so this is the wire that I pulled off over that starter relay right there. That goes to your glow plug relays. That lays off to the side. Your big plug is off to the side. Now the biggest thing is power steering pump. There's two different ways of doing it. Either you take the power steering pump off the bracket, lay it off to the side, and then pull the engine, or you're going to pull the lines off. It depends on if yours has power steering pump or not, or if you already have a new one or not. It just depends on however you want to do it. But I'm going to leave the power steering pump on this engine. So we're going to take this clamp loose right here. Now watch out when you take this off. These little nipples on the power steering pump are extremely sensitive and very known for breaking. I mean, it don't take much. You just got to be extremely gentle with these, otherwise you need to get yourself a new reservoir. You're gonna have to take that line loose right here. This is your pressure line, and then your other line sits down in there. Right there, that goes to your cooler right here, and that goes over there, and then goes back to the steering box right there. So I'm going to take that one off, this one off, this one off, and then that releases the power steering pump. If you do take the lines off, keep in mind there's oil in there, so there will be some draining. So if you want to catch it, catch it. So there you go. We're going to do that real quick, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. So now we got the power steering lines all disconnected. Next will be the fuel lines. They are right there. Gonna need a tool like this to undo them. So, oh, looks like one of them is already unclipped. So you push that out of the way like that, and you put this on there. They can be pretty rusty, but you shove this up in there. Oh, look at that. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? What? All right, then you do the other one, and then when I get that done, we'll bring it right back, and then we're going to continue. Here we go. All right, next we're going to keep eating away on this deal here. We're getting, you know, so you see we started in the front, work our way toward the back. So next is, if you have a plug-in that sits right there, give me 1 second here, let me grab a light. Right there, that's it, the one I'm touching here. There's a screw there. You unscrew it, unplug it, you got to pull that out. So we'll do that, and then the next thing after that would be starting on the turbo. You got to take the turbo out in order to clear all this, otherwise it will be extremely tight, because we got to bring this up quite a ways, because the pan is pretty deep, the oil pan, and we need clearance to come around the cross member there. So it will be easiest if we just remove the turbo. So we're here, easy access, easy to get to, so might as well get this done. So we're gonna have to undo this here, this hose clamp. There's hose clamps right here on these orange boots. The other side was already removed, so but there's hose clamps on that too, orange boot. So we're going to have to undo that, undo this here. There is one bolt holding that on, unplug it, unbolt it. Same thing here. This is intake glow plug. Give me 1 second here. Right there. So this here is just porcelain right here. So just undo this one, come off, and then I would put the nut back on so the porcelain don't fall off, because you do not want to lose that. So we're going to get this intake spider or Y pipe or however you want to call it. We're going to take that off, and then including that block heater plug, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, so actually this is what I've done. I zip tied this together. That came off the glow plug for the intake. So zip that together, the one wire porcelain and then the other wire, and then I put this back on undid the vacuum hose, both of them, and just put this back on there loosely. Put the boots back on there, and you lay this off to the side. Now we're going to take the intake off right here. There's 2 bolts right here, hose clamp and a hose clamp. It'll come right off, so we're going to do that, and we'll bring it right back. Here we go. Alright, so we got the intake pipe off, and then here on the bottom, it's where your crankcase breather goes. That goes here on the bottom of the intake tube. I'll put a little cap in there. I could put a couple rags in there as well. Now we're gonna get started on the turbo. So we got a plug right there. We'll unplug that, and then we got a couple clamps. So we got a exhaust hose clamp. Excuse me. We got a exhaust hose clamp right here that we're going to take care of, and then there is one all the way in the back. Let's see if we can get you to it. Right here for the up pipes. Okay, so my finger right here for the up pipes that need to come off. So we're going to do that next, and then we got 2 bolts. There's one right here. So we got a bolt right there, and right here on the other side of that there's another one, and that's how you take the turbo off. Those 2 bolts hold the turbo down on the pedestal. But like I said, make sure you do the clamps first, and I'll show you when I get ready to take that out. I'll show you a little trick that I do if you have problems with taking that clamp loose. So here we go. I'm going to get that done. We'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, here we go. Before I forget, there is a clip right here underneath. You got to feel it, and it's got a little lever on it, and you got to push that backwards. I mean, it's really hard to get that in the camera, guys, but trust me, if you feel down there, you feel a little arm that comes down, and there's a rod connected to it, and there's a clip down there. You got to just push that toward the pedestal that way, and that way that's released, because when you take the turbo off, that is connected to the pedestal. So there you go. Make sure you get that done. So now we're going to grab an air hammer, and I use a long bit. We'll give this a short little burst right here. Just be careful. Look at that. See that? How it sprung loose? So if you do that, well, it's not completely loose yet. So let's do this one more time. And I put that up against the turbo housing. See, now it's completely loose. Oh, sorry. So now you can tell it's completely loose. So you can tell where I hit right there on the turbo housing, and then down below it was still hanging up. So I did that right there. And then you can move this clamp out of the way. And then for in the back, right back there, sorry, right back there, that clamp, you can do the same thing. Just set the bit right up against the turbo housing and just give it a short little burst. You know, don't go hog wild on it. So just use a bit. I use a long one because that's what I always use for this. But when it's open like this, you can use a shorter one, and that will save you a lot of headaches. That's the fastest way to get the clamps off the turbo. So here we go. We're going to get that done. So we'll get those clamps off, and then we're going to take these bolts loose right here, and then we'll bring you back and lift the turbo out. Here we go. All right, make sure you get the clamps loose. Make sure you push those clamps backwards so they don't hang up on your on the ring of the turbo. And make sure that this bottom piece right here on the pedestal is popped out. Now let's see if we can get this this turbo out. Let's see if we can get you placed somewhere so you can actually see. Let's put the camera right. There we go. All right, here we go. So there you go. So that's that lever right there that I was talking about. Right there. Then you gotta make sure that is out. Like I say, make sure you shove this clamp backwards far enough. And now you got the turbo out. This is a good time to double check and make sure that your wheel is in good shape. So this one here has no play in it, so this turbo is 100%. So now we're going to take that, I'm going to get this out of the way, and then we'll bring it right back. Here we go. Alright, now we're under the truck. We're going to remove this. We're going to remove the starter. There's a bolt right there, one right there, and then on the opposite side here on the top there's another one. Already disconnected the batteries, so I'm just going to pop it off and let it hang. And then the other thing we got to do is we got to remove this this oil filter right here, because as you can tell there's not going to be any room there, so we're going to get that out. But like I said, I'm going to do the starter first, get that done, and then like I said, I'm just going to hang there, let the starter hang. You can remove it as well completely if you take the wires off of it. That is up to you, but like I said, I'm just going to let it dangle because I already removed the batteries. And like I said, the next thing would be taking the oil filter off, and then as soon as we get that done, we'll bring it back. Here we go. Alright, so once you get the starter out and the oil filter removed right there, now we're going to start on the bell housing bolts. Now if you got a automatic transmission, you need to undo your torque converter bolts first, and then you can start on your bell housing bolts, because you do not want to, if all possible, you do not want to take the torque converter out of the transmission with your engine, because then all your transmission fluid out of your automatic transmission will pour out on the ground. There will be at least a gallon worth of transmission fluid flowing out. So but this here's a ZF6. So now we're going to take the bell housing bolts out. Just, you know, right here's one, there's another one, two more on top, and then a couple more on the other side. So we're going to get that done, and then as soon as we get the bell housing bolts done, we'll get to the engine mounts. So here we go. We'll be right back. All right, I got them loose here. So now we're going to take these engine mount bolts or nuts off. There's one here, one up there, and then two on the other side. So we're going to take those off. And then I did leave one bell housing bolt in the engine block. So we're going to take that out right now, and or we're going to take that out right before we're going to be ready to pull this thing out. So now we need to set up our floor jack and our engine hoist. So I'm going to get that done, and we'll bring it right back. Here we go. All right, I got the last bolt out on the bell housing for the transmission. Installed my floor jack. Put a wooden block underneath the transmission and the jack, raised it up a little bit, and I've got my my engine hoist all ready to go. That's how I got it hooked up. I did, however, move this wiring out of the way right here, so that way it don't get hurt. And I'll put a chain right there. So that's how we got that set up, and now we can start lifting it up. Oh, would you look at that? Did you see that? So now we're going to grab a pry bar, and I go underneath the transmission, right there where the transmission meets up to the engine at the bell housing, and create a gap there, and I'll pull this transmission or the engine out. So we'll bring you right back. Here we go. All right, we're underneath the truck. So here's the bell housing of the transmission. There is the faceplate of the engine, and as you can tell, it popped loose. So I'm gonna have to jack up a little bit here. the biggest thing is you got to shimmy back and forth here until the engine is completely free. As you can tell right there and right there, where the mount is at, right here. And then you just gonna have to go back and forth between the engine and transmission till it's completely free, and then you can start pulling it out, lifting it up, pulling it out. So we'll bring you right back. Here we go. All right, so I changed the Ford jack out for the transmission jack. I got that all loose and shoved it back a little bit. I just want to have a little bit more room in the front. If you got an automatic, you don't have to worry about any of that at all. But you know, with the ZF6, the clutch is, I mean, there's a clutch there that is several inches thick. So I mean, that may eliminate a little bit of play versus a automatic. So anyway, so now we're getting ready to jack this up. I've got more room because right now I was really close and the oil pan was hitting the cross member. So, and for me, that transmission need to come out anyway, that ZF6. So I figured, you know what, might as well get that done, and I got that shoved backwards so I can basically pull that out here whenever I want. But I just wanted to show you guys that. So now we're getting ready to lift this out of here, and then hang on, we'll bring you right along. Here we go. All right, we're almost there. So we cleared it. So we made sure that the up pipe right there is right there, wasn't hitting the cowl. Looks like we got a little bit more room there now, and we're right here on the cross member with the oil pan. So now we're gonna so we're clearing that. Look at that. Now we got all sorts of room right here. So now we should be able to pull this thing out some more. Give me 1 second here. That's the exhaust that fell down. You will have that, and tends to keep leaking there, the coolant. That was the exhaust that tipped down right there, as you can tell. So no worries there. So we're completely out. We got plenty of room, so now we can lift this sucker up. There you go. So we got plenty of room now. We're free and clear. And that's the last ground strap right here in the back. But it's long, so now it's real easy to get to. That's just a bolt right there, and now we're good to go. And yeah. Okay, gonna pull her out and we'll bring her right back. Here we go. Well, there you have it. So the hole is empty. Transmission is still sitting there. I'm getting ready to drop that. But that's another thing. So, but anyway, here's your 7.3. All out. Strongly recommend that before you put your new one back in it, if you're just doing a swap, pull an old one out, putting another one in, always double check your exhaust manifold. Just make sure your oil cooler right here is not leaking, because now would be the perfect time to do that. It's not like you cannot do that when it's in the truck, but right now these are the things that, you know, have potential problems. So I would just replace it with a complete new one, so you don't have to worry about it leaking. The exhaust manifold's the same thing. Always double check, make sure all the bolts are there, make sure there's no holes in there. And I would, regardless of what you got going on, I always put new. I would guarantee, you know, I would strongly recommend to put new up pipes, because they like to leak over time, and you know, they have a exhaust smell in your cab. things of that nature. So up pipes before you drop a new one is an absolute must, in my opinion. Some people may have a different opinion about that, but like I said, those are prone for leaking, and that's going to save you a lot of headaches down the road. And like I said, just check everything over before you stick the new one in. And make sure your oil pan is in good shape, because here in the Rust Belt, this is where they like to rust the oil pan. And then before you know it, you'll have a rusty oil pan, and you're basically going to have to do the exact same thing again, or you're going to have to lift the cab and all that. Either which way, replacing an oil pan on these 7.3s is a big job. So before you drop a new one in there and you're in the Rust Belt, or a different one in there, a new one to you, I would strongly recommend to really inspect the oil pan, and if anything else, just put a new one on there. Same thing here with the dipstick flange. That's where they like to leak a lot, and you can tell this one was doing the same thing. So yeah, a couple pointers here. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. Don't cost nothing, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.